product of my environment. Born with this monkey on my back. Life is a toilet, got stuck with the turds cause I'm black. That's why nobody gives a fuck, especially me. Home broken by violence, no silver spoon, fiend big money. Wanna be like Kennedy. Need more room to breathe, constricted by foul predicament. Tired of shucking and jiving, ridiculous dominant. Price of freedom getting higher, future on consignment. Niggas want Obama, be the first to co-sign it. So God bless the child that makes his own luck. Choke up intense hunger to come up. No telling what I do provoke, so don't touch. Do whatever it takes to win. Dirty hands, good intentions, pray for me. We gon' see in the end. Everywhere I go, you know, walk like a champion. Everything I say, baby, talk like a champion. Wanna let me give you some lottie-dottie-dum. Number one sound rep, you live and lick a shot.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What Words Are Worth. And today, I got another exceptional artist. She's featured on projects with Yasin Bey, Talib Kweli, Black Star, Pharoahe Monch, worked with DJ Spinner, MF Doom. I mean, she rapped on everything pretty much when we were coming up in the late 90s and that golden era. If you needed a phenomenal verse from a female MC, she's pretty much who we would go get. So welcome to the stage, Apani B Fly.
Sup.
How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you on here. The journey of doing this is all about just really exposing how dope my friends are and like people I've known throughout the years that I don't think may get the credit that they deserve. So right. I'm happy to have you on here, and hopefully I can help get some exposure that way, and vice versa. People be like, "Yo, who's that guy?" and vice versa. So just mixing and mingling, right?
It's good to share audiences. We've both been doing it for a very long time, and we have loyal bases, so it's good.
Yep. So, all right. So this is about songwriting and creativity, and I like to always tell people about my experience of them coming up. So one of the main things about you when coming up was when anybody needed a verse, and if it needed a female, they got you. You were like you were like the assassin, the hired assassin when it was needed.
I tell people that all the time. I'm a pin for hire. Yes.
Yo, I vouch for that. So, I spoke in the intro about like how you did songs with Pharoahe, Kweli, everybody. When we were coming up for sure, it was like, yo, I need somebody to get on this, a female. Yo, you should get Apani. Like it was like the number one answer. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to get it. I'm gonna, ask about a lot of stuff like that. The first thing is like, I know your name is Apani, like the original name, but like, what about the B Fly part? So where's that? When did you add that? Why?
Well, my name is actually a tribute to my vanity because Apani means butterfly. So I don't know if you've ever noticed that I have a butterfly tattoo.
I didn't know.
Yes. So Apani means be fly. So my name is just like my name, MC, what I do, right? Apani B Fly, MC. So it's like me. Dylon.
Okay. So then.
And plus, it's also, I guess, double entendre in a way for, my presentation. I don't know if you know, but, since I've started doing music, I'm also like in the beauty industry.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
That's what I spend most of my time doing when I'm not doing music or, with my children, my wonderful family, and my animals. I'm in the beauty industry, so I started in cosmetics.
Dope.
And did that for maybe 4 or 5 years or so. And then I went to school and got my cosmetology license. But when I was doing cosmetics, I started in department stores behind makeup counters.
Yeah.
And I started doing, the beauty industry is almost my relationship to that. I know you from music.
Right.
Since we were kids. And even though we were kids and we were having fun, we got paid to do it. So it was our business, right?
Right.
So my relationship, if you can imagine, to the beauty industry is the same as sort of that same sort of journey that we had as indie artists, doing music. I did a lot of guerrilla photo shoots. I'd be working with like indie designers, you know what I'm saying? Like indie models, indie photographers, and they're looking for people, just like you said, somebody be like, oh, I need a female to come and do this verse. I started in cosmetics, but after cosmetology school, of course, I was good at everything. I was doing hair.
Right.
I went back to school again. I'm a licensed barber.
Nice.
So I spent the last 5 years, I just came back to doing women's work, but I spent 5 years doing exclusively men's work, barbering, shaving, high-end clientele.
Yeah.
So, we would, like, it's the same thing, like how you'd be walking up into an open mic, or you'd be ciphering in the street or whatever with a bunch of your homies. It's the same thing. Like, we do a photo shoot, it's a cipher. You know what I'm saying? So your designer will come and he has the clothes like somebody made with their hands and their ideas, which was cool. It's just like another art form. My jobs are art jobs. You know what I'm saying? And then, you'd have models. So sometimes I'd be the hair person. Sometimes I'd be the makeup person. Sometimes I'd be doing all those things. Sometimes the designer has, like, I'd be bringing extra stuff in my kit. Like, you get shit from craft stores, little jewels. And then I'd be like, let me make a mask on the fly. Let me make a wig on the fly. You know what I'm saying? Or like cut a wig, or, I'd just be bringing all these like little basic pieces. I'd be doing shows. I did beauty pageants, gorilla shit in the street. Like I said, I'd be curling hair in fucking Starbucks, doing makeup in McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Crazy shit. So I spent years, when I was away from music, that was some of the shit that I was doing. But it was like sort of the same shit, different toilet, I guess, right? Like,
yeah,
same kind of energy. So I really loved, I love that also, as much as I love music, and I'm super connected to that. So, so it's, like I said, it's like all my jobs are art jobs. It's like, it's the same sort of, a pen for hire, makeup artist, beauty assassin for hire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think like most of us have found another metaphor for the music industry,
right?
But different occupation.
Right. It's just another. I'm an artist and I'm a creator. And I've had to embrace that with myself. I like business too. I like the hustle. I like closing deals. I've always been an indie artist. I've had different jaunts with labels, but like mostly one-off type situations. And I've never been signed. So any record that I put out that was mine, that was a deal I made. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I thought you signed.
Well, like my first single was on my label. Like it was, I had distribution, but I've always done my own projects on my own labels. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't have no idea of that. I'm thinking like there had to be some type of connection to somebody, some label.
I had connections and I had allies and people who did things, who believed in me and was like, yo, I want to put you on with this opportunity, or I want to help you get this bag for sure. But, it's harder for women. And, like you said, it's an honor for me that even in that introduction there where you said, I know that if we wanted to get somebody that, we would get you, right? Because, at that time also, I'll add one more person, even though, like I said, dial on. I love to talk about myself. But honestly, it was like me and Jean, right? If you're going to call somebody, you're going to either call her for her vibe or you're going to call me for my vibe, depending on it. Or you might call us both, right? Because there wasn't that many. Now, male and female, the game is kind of saturated, in a way that I wasn't previously. But, that was an honor for me. But, men and women click differently. You know what I mean? And it's not like a battle of the sexes thing. Like, I'm not trying to go there. I'm very fortunate and I worked hard.
Well, was there, I know you work hard. So was there pressure? Like doing, like back then we all were dope and we all are still dope, but
we were focused. It's like anything. It's like, you kind of got to be in it to win it. And I'm not saying that there weren't people who weren't. I made some wrong choices, but I made some great choices and I made some great allies and I had some great instincts about some things and I had not so great instincts about certain things, but I stayed in the mix. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, when you look around and you look at the mix, who was there, right? Whoever was there has the flowers still today. I left for a long time and I came back after raising my family and, outside is outside.
So when you had to appear on these songs? Were you like
Right.
feeling like, you know,
Yeah, it's not day where
my
you
verse
just put
is,
your
you
own
know,
stuff out. Yeah, you put your own stuff out and you're like, yeah, I'm an artist. You know, you're just trying to get views. I mean, there was some of that in a way, but it was different. We had to go. Our YouTube was actually being in a place with the mic in our hand. Right? It wasn't like I could just make this video and then I could just send it out to all of these people. No, we had to go outside.
yeah,
We had to get on a show, and then not just that, you had to get to the show where the right people were going to see you. You know what I'm saying? Get on the right radio station, right? Go, you know, freestyle or whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, go cypher with whoever's popping. You know, you had to go and be out with whoever was popping, but you had to go make yourself pop. You know what I mean? Even like, you know, Queens was different, but like out here, you know, like a lot of people, everybody from Brooklyn, right? Everybody from Brooklyn, everybody from Uptown. I'm from Queens. That was another thing. So I'm a chick. I'm from Queens. I'm from the fucking boonies. You know what I mean? So, you know, we were living that live at the barbecue life at that time. It wasn't any events or anything happen out here. So you'd be at the barbecue, you'd be at a party, your man's rhyme, and you go hang out. He go take you to where everybody else rhyme. Everybody got a backyard out here. So it'd be like 10,000 dudes there smoking weed in the back. And they come and bring me, and I'm always like, you know, the little sister or whatever. My little sister rhyme, and it'd be a bunch of dudes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, that you never seen before. And then, you know, so like I said, it was live at the barbecue life out here, but you had to either be outside talking to the people who had similar interests in doing that, or you had to be at a show, you had to be in a radio show. I got my first, well, I can't say my first, but, you know, like I said, all my projects were indie. Bobito gave me my first opportunity, you know, so that was the thing. Everybody wanted to be on KCR, right? Everybody wanted their record played. Everybody wanted, you know, to
go to the open mics, go to New York and
do a show. He had Fondulum at the time, you know, so he was a big advocate for me, but I never put out a record on Fondulum. You know what I'm saying? So when
you're creating nowadays and stuff like that, where are you at with it? Are you paper, pen, computer, phone? You write in your head? What's your creative process putting the lyrics in?
Above. I'm getting older and I smoke a lot of bud, so writing in my head sometimes is writing. Sometimes is a losing proposition. I'll be like, damn, that was fly. What did I think before? I don't remember now. You know what I mean? But if it's something that's really like, if it's an idea that's really crazy that resonates with my spirit, I won't forget it. You know what I mean? But I use my phone, my voice notes on my phone sometimes. Sometimes like you know, if I'm in a stream of consciousness moment, I'll write, you know, I mean, I'll type verses into my phone. In the studio, for the most part, everything makes it to the phone. I have little books and stuff. Like I'll go to Barnes and Nobles and get like a fancy notebook and write things in there. But I'm trying to pack lighter, so it's kind of hard to carry. I used to always have the backpack and the notebook.
Yeah.
Back in the day. But it's, you know, and I got kids. There's no room for my life anymore. You know what I'm saying? I got.
How old are your kids? Because I got kids. They're adults though. Now they're adults.
Oh no, my kids are. Well, I waited a long time. I had mine late. You know, guys have the advantage of having wives. You know, so you guys can go and have babies and then go. But no, my son is 14, and then I've got twins that are 12.
Okay, and do they know about your legacy?
Yeah, for the most part. They call me Hannah Montana. They be roasting me.
Oh my god.
They're like, how you be in the house like you just regular, you like, you know, like you're nobody to us. You know? Then you go outside looking, he's like, you pulling.
Yeah. Yeah, like a whole lot. Yeah. They don't know until somebody approach you or they hear a song come on or something like that.
They know, like when I was, because I've had different sort of spurts and engagements like since becoming a mother. Yeah. You know, it's not as easy. You know, I made that joke. It's not as easy to dedicate the time because, you know, like I said, I do my beauty work. If I do a haircut, I have a particular technique. It's a finite thing in front of me. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end to the process. Right. You know what I mean? Music too, but you know, the time constraints are different. You know, it doesn't take you the same amount of time to write every song, right?
Okay, that's a great, because I had that question.
How
So
long does
how long does it take for you to write a verse and a song? What's that
Now it
like?
depends,
Okay.
right? We're professionals. If I wanted to, because I was gonna preface that with, or add a disclaimer to that last statement before you came about that. But it was good. It's it's appropriate, right? That we're professionals, right? If somebody says I have a session today between this time and this time, and I'm going to pay you to come and write,
Yeah.
you don't have weeks or days. Get it done within the time of the session, and then also, you want to impress people. You don't want to be meandering, right?
Yeah.
And you want to come up with something quality, but that also the proposition of your inspiration. Everything is not equally as I don't want to say like everything I do I don't like, but I've done records that I was paid to do that I didn't love as much as something that I might have created myself. That was my brainchild. You know what I'm saying? And I'll go so far as to say I've done records that I don't even care for.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I brought my energy to it, so my expression on the record was authentic, but maybe the beat I was like, or there were some other featured artists on there, and I was like, oh well, at least I'm gonna beat their face in with these bars. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
right, so that kind of thing. And I've also been in situations where paid project, you might be working on a longer form project, not just one song, but like a few songs. Or I've done projects that have never come out.
Wow.
Long form projects, with I did a for example, I did a project with Sony Work Group, with a group that was very big commercially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we did I don't even remember how many songs, but like an album's worth of songs. They flew me over, and I stayed there like a couple of weeks, and I was in the studio all day, every day. Like I said, finite amount of time.
Yeah.
I have 2 weeks to write one song. I had to do the whole album while I was there, and I was being paid per song I wrote. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
You have those records?
I don't have even I know who has them, but I don't have them. And it never came out. They loved it when I was finished, but then when I went home, they called me and told me that they didn't like the energy, like it was too edgy.
Was it too, like, how long ago was that? Is it too edgy for back then, or like now would be fine?
Well, everything, like I said, everything is about proportion, right? So say my next record is a #1 hit smash. What is too edgy, right?
Right.
My name is valuable, so they'll do whatever they do to, I'm sure, everything is with the cachet. Like I said, I've been away for a while, but I'm working on some pretty big stuff now that I'm looking forward to dropping. And like I said, I went to the UK. It was Sony, but it was like Sony UK work group.
Yeah.
So, I anticipate with my reemergence some of the projects that I've done that have never coming out so people can capitalize.
Yeah, that's what people do. They'll wait. They'll wait and do that. So my
I don't know
thought
if they're gonna do who owns those. I know who has it. I don't know if that gentleman, because it's Sony, so everybody's getting robbed. I'm not sure that that he owns the masters to that, because he said he liked the music and he was disappointed that it didn't come out. But and if it would have come out, that would have been a much bigger bag. Like I was paid basically for my work time. You know what I mean? But I was paid like a couple of $1,000 per song, just to come over there and write it and do it. So I still got money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They paid me in American dollars. They didn't even write me a check. They paid me straight up cash.
That's always nice.
Right. Right.
So like they were saying edgy, but like, so with your writing style, like me hearing your style, I've always thought
exactly. I thought that was hilarious.
and I thought from hearing your style, you've always had a great balance. And what I mean by that is, right, you can get on the record and you can give the relationship vibe. So somebody can have you write a relationship record, you got the tonality for that. Then you could come on the record and be like, I'm trying to kill everybody on here. And then what was dope about all of that is the fact that you were able to like put it with the good, like you had the personality in your lines. So some people be the, you know, rhyme straight and like went you were able to like certain lines you say it with what? Like you had the personality.
Thank you. I tried. It was intentional. Glad you noticed. You're a beast, so I'm glad you noticed.
So yeah, I know it's dope. I mean, so what was that like developing your writing style? Like who influenced you? And then you was like, because I say we all are parts of somebody, then you become you.
Right.
So how you became you to know all that?
Well, I listened to a lot of music of a lot of different genres. And I was actually very excited about doing this podcast with you because I really love songwriters, right? Like I like rappers and I do hip hop music. So you need that frame of reference. Like, you know, you need to know what that energy is, right? How to bring that energy and how to do it authentically. And I didn't invent it. So of course, you know, the influences are always those who came before me and, you know, whoever my peers are, right?
Right.
Who are successful, or, you know, or who make, you know, art that resonate, you know, with my spirit, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. But I also, you know, I grew up in a house. We always had tons of vinyl records. You know what I mean? And when I was a kid, that was something that I used to do a lot. You know, I would sit in the basement with the vinyls and I would just play records all day long, 45s, like gospel, jazz, instrumental, you know, and then, you know, you'd be hearing things and, you know, when you know you're interested in doing music, you know, you're listening and you're co-opting and you're figuring out. So, you know, you'd be listening to like Ella Fitzgerald talking about, you know, using her voice as an instrument and like, you know, trying to mimic a horn. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, so you're like, oh, that's crazy. You know what I mean? And then you hear somebody like a Billie Holiday, you know, who had a whole other totally, you know, who I think of, not that they're the same type of singer, but overlapping sort of similarity. And maybe earlier, not as much because she's been in the game a lot longer now, but Mary J. Blige. Right? Billie Holiday was not the hit, you know, crazy octaves like Mariah and Whitney type of singer. Her connection to her audience was more visceral. It was about vibrations and feels. Erykah Badu is like that.
Yeah.
You know, but she's been in the game for a while, so you hear the development of the vocal quality, which is much more of a tangible thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you know that time and effort goes into that. Practice goes into that. To being able to become acrobatic and stretch your voice and do different things.
That's the way. That's a good word to say. Like,
well, that's exactly what it is.
Acrobatic,
like
acrobatic. That's what you. On the tracks. That's what it is. Hearing you, if y'all haven't heard of Apani stuff, you go listen and she's on so many various tracks. Yeah, I'm there. I was saying like if they haven't heard this stuff, they go listen because you're on so many various tracks. You can hear the differentiations and styles.
Right, everything. I'm very intentional about trying to bring, you know, when I'm listening to a record, I'm listening and I'm saying, what is the energy that I hear here? If I go to the studio, if you've ever, which you haven't, but I'm going to invite you to one because I use my sessions sometimes to fellowship and let people see what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right, studio at home.
So
right. So I try to be pretty intentional about listening to a track and saying, what is the energy here? You know, what is the voice? What's the tone? Like, how should I come on it? Should I lay back? Should I speak softly? Should I be yelling? Do I want to be sassy? A lot of personality. You know, I'll play with my accent. You know, stuff like that. You know, sometimes you want to get what's the word? Like more playful with how you say a word, or if you're gonna hold on to a vowel. But singers do that. My mom used to sing too. When I was young, she used to go to these vocal lessons. So I was a kid and I would sit outside. I wasn't allowed inside the session when she was being taught. So I would sit in the waiting room and I would listen to her and you know, she'd be doing vocal exercises. And when I was in school, I did all kinds of artsy stuff. I was in dance class. I took, you know, school age. I was in dance class. I was a cheerleader at City College for my first year.
Okay.
You know, I was always in chorus. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't like the great, I had like a solo every now and then. I was in the church choir. My grandma was the star of the church choir. You heard? You know what I'm saying? Growing up, she was the star of, okay, at church. So
you're grabbing these things without even thinking about it. They're like subliminally.
Yeah, just little pieces, and I would be like just adding it to my arsenal and figuring out how I could make it mine. Because one of the things too is, like I said, so just being, you know, a minority as a female in hip hop, dudes didn't, like I said, it's one thing if you have bars, but one thing that I couldn't help being a woman was my voice. That I have a high voice at a higher register. You know what I'm saying? And being so male dominated, some men just won't respect it because they be like, who is this? Like, I like that street chick. She got this little squeaky eye voice when she gonna talk to me about baking cookies or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, they don't even want to take you seriously just because you're a female. Like, that's like a whole different thing where, you know, like, you know, getting your respect. So it's not even just about having bars.
But that's what makes you special though, because as me being one of the guys back then and knowing the unit of people we grew up around, everybody knew that whatever let's say the chamber category, whatever it was, they could just say, oh, get Apani to do that. What you need? You want to talk about some street stuff? Get Apani to do that. You want to talk about relationship stuff? Apani can do that. You just want somebody that can rhyme? Get Apani. Like they were able to identify that early on from you rapping. You know, you had a lot of people vouching for you. Everybody vouched for you, you know?
Right. I mean, thank you. I mean, I worked for that, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, but I recognized that there were challenges, and I tried to just meet those challenges. Like, you know, people would give you feedback too and tell you what they like about you. And I'd be like, okay, so how can, you know, I'm just like, do more of what works and less of what doesn't work. Or if I do a show and maybe sometimes, you know, you feel like you're hitting and sometimes you feel like you're not. Right? Like, oh, that wasn't my greatest night or whatever. You know what I mean? So, you know, I would just, I'm always trying to perfect the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? If, you know, I remember I had a manager one time. We was in the studio. This was like when I was doing records with like anti-pop. We was like, you know, different people that I was working with at different times. We was kind of locked up in crew situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Spend a lot of time making music and creating around each other. But my early days, you know, Life, Hostile, Mike One, you remember all of those folks, DMO, right? Mm-hmm. And Anti-Pop, right? Priest and Beans and Shaki and, you know, those type of folks. Like, they were more, Shaki was like spoken word, Beans, you know what I'm saying? And I had a manager, the guy who was running everybody at the time. And I was recording, and he was like, you got a dope voice. People always told me that I had a dope voice.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's something I have going for me. Because like I said, I'm a girl, but I know my voice is, I'm older now, so it's not as high. But when I was young, I had a very high voice, I think.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was trying to figure out how to sound like a girl, right? How to be authentic. Like, I wasn't trying to sound like a boy. Because some people did that too. They would try to just go extra husky, extra deep. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. That's a fact. The aggression, they couldn't measure their aggression. They couldn't find it. Like, they know that rhyming with guys, so they felt
so they started to act like us. Yeah. Right. I didn't feel like my strength would be there. I thought that there was value in being a female MC because I was rare. You know what I'm saying? And there's always value in what's rare and exclusive. You know what I'm saying? But it's more valuable if I'm doing it good. You know what I'm saying? I you know, being the thing is one thing, but being the thing and being elite at it is another thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was just trying to figure out different ways that I could set myself apart from other hopefuls. You know what I'm saying?
So what was that like? What did you like to write in the studio then, or write at home? What
different.
Was that
so
like?
I would write. I probably would write at home a lot. Like I always do that, even if I'm in the studio, if I'm coming, unless I never heard a record before.
Yeah.
I have some type of idea. Like I said, even if it's just what do I feel is the tone, or, you know, just like I said, stream of consciousness things. When I think about this concept where I hear this beat, what do I hear first off? Like, what does it make me think? First things that come to my mind. And, you know, I'll write something like that down. And sometimes it might be words. Like I said, it might be just an idea or some picture. And I try, you know, you have to just turn that into words, right?
Right.
Whatever the idea is. So sometimes I would get a couple of lines, and then, you know, if I could find a good idea or underlying energy for where I'm going to take something, I could build around that. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of always been my strategy. Like, you know, just what I was good at. Like, I'm a lot more intentional because, like I said, I'm older and, you know, I'm a professional. Like, I've been doing it a long time. You know, so if I have to write in the studio, I can write fast. I can write a verse, you know.
Okay.
15, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I think in order to get on some of the, I would probably assume for people that have had their probably breakthroughs or whatever the case, like you've popped up at a studio and it was, all right, you want to get on or not? You know what I'm saying?
Right. That happens. That happens. You know, sometimes people will do that on purpose and they're trying to test you. I find like a lot of times too, as a woman, you know, they'll have their janky ass homeboy who's, you know, like I said, he can't even fuck with me on some bar shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They'll be throwing all of the fucking money and the budgets their way, doing everything they can to get their boy signed, and then it gets barely passable. You know what I'm saying? You know, but as a female, somebody's like, oh yeah, they always think you can't do something, like it's some, you know, vagina's a handicap or whatever. You know what I mean? So, you know, when you show up places, a lot of times people are just trying to test you, like, right? You know, you have to have a thick skin, because they're not even just testing you sometimes to see if you can do the work. They're testing you sometimes to see if you could survive in the environment. You know? Not can I just do this work today, but what is your work ethic? So what does your work look like over a period of time? You know, or, you know, can you do something on the fly? You know what I mean? You know, so I've had to do things sometimes where I feel like I've had to go above and beyond and do things that other people didn't have to do to, you know, to secure my place. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that, you know, that's the struggle of minorities. It's like Black folks. We have to do more than everybody else, you know, to get the same position for less pay. Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same parallel in some ways for being a female artist. So like I said, for me, you know, and I really like money. And I like being good at things, you know what I mean? So, you know, I have to take my skill set and, you know, the way that I do things to another level so that I can walk in a place. And like I said, I want to cut this deal. I want this bag. This is my price. This is what I expect. You know what I'm saying? You know, so you have to be that. You know what I mean?
So then once you got these rhymes written and everything, what's the revision process like? Do you keep every verse, or you like scrap that?
I don't really crumple up things. Like I do have bins of just like single papers where I scribbled like 2 lines. Right.
Okay.
It's ideas. Ideas are evergreen. You know what I'm saying? I can always use an idea. You know, I always feel like too, like a good idea is transferable. You know what I mean? I can even use it sometimes, like, you know, my barber and beauty things, or I'm also like a super techie. I'm a computer science student. I'm matriculating towards a programming degree. So I think about things now also within the lens of that. You know what I mean? But a good idea is transferable. So sometimes I might think about something else from a whole nother, you know, sphere of consciousness. And it's just such a universally good idea that I can apply it to something else. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really like to like books, ideas, like even magazines. I have a hard time sometimes throwing those things away. You know what I mean?
And I ain't forget, I moved. So this is it though. I ain't moving no more. This is it. So I got to get that magazine, that I got that article that I got to send you.
Right.
I ain't forget. Yeah. I don't be forgetting. I'm gonna find that magazine.
That's okay. I'm busy too. I mean, I can never.
So
I'm not going anywhere. God willing.
So do you revise when you're in the booth while you're recording? Like Like,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Like, so now, so like I said, when I first got started, also because things were different. I didn't have the money like that to be in the studio all the time. It cost, you know, you had to pay. I mean, I had some deals in early on where I didn't, you know, people were like, okay, your shit is different. You're super talented. You could come rock out whenever. You know what I mean? But there were times when I did, you know, have to pay. And then a lot of other times, like once I started, you know, getting traction on the scene, I was always doing projects. So I was writing for a reason. It wasn't like just me coming to try to do a demo and get on. I was working. You know what I mean? So if I'm working, especially, and I know somebody's paying me or is going to go on a commercially, you know, released project, I want to be prepared a little bit. Like I said, I'll do my little skeleton. Sometimes that's bars. Sometimes it's lines. Sometimes it's mostly a written verse. And I know there's pieces in there that I think could be tighter. You know what I mean? So I might go to the studio and like I said, what I was telling you before about the manager guy was he was telling me, you have a great voice, but when you start your verses, try to start them differently. Don't start every verse the same. You know how you hear some people in every verse, they deliver exactly the same. Yeah. There's some great people. I'm not going to drag anybody and shade anybody right now, but there are some greats who do that all the time. Every time you hear them, it's the same standard issue delivery.
Yeah, I think it's what you have to do, like when you get a beat, it's almost like I look at it like kind of maybe double dutches, and you're looking when to jump in the rope.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So everybody has their own timing on when they're going to jump in the ropes. You know what I'm saying?
That is true. So what I try to do is challenge myself and say, it was very easy for you to come here in this place and jump in. Right. Is there another way that you can attack this in another place that you could jump in from that's unexpected, that's going to have people like, oh shit, because delivery is a lot of the battle. You know, we're talking about songwriting. It's the presentation. Your presentation is communication, right? Not just what you're doing, but how you're doing it, right? Yeah. So I try to, you know, where can I start differently? If I go into the studio and then I might take a take and everybody be like, oh yeah, that shit is great. We have it. And I'll be like, maybe. I kind of had another cadence and another pattern that I wanted to try, right? Right. So I want to keep that verse, and then I'm gonna try to say it differently this way. So that's one of the things that I do. Sometimes when I'm saying stuff like, you know, certain words or even a certain syllable or a certain like, you know, I'm actually on some Rain Man OCD shit with certain things. Like one time I was doing a verse recently and I was like, you see this little space when I end this part and then I start this part? Like it sounded good to everybody else, but it didn't sound like my tongue felt like I can hear my tongue being awkward. Right. In it, right? And it's not something that maybe everybody could have perceived. It sounded great. The bars were great. So everybody was like, oh, that shit is fire. You know what I mean? In the studio. But I was like, you see right here to right here, like there's only this much space. It should say like this. And then when I come in with the next place, it should lay like that. Right. And then I was like, but you know why? It's because I ended with this hard consonant here. And then I'm trying to pick up with this next consonant here. And there's no air. Like, you know, I'm like, I get extra with it. There's no airflow here. So maybe I need to change the word, or I have to like try to change the pace on that bar before. And
it could be the end. It could be the end of the word. You maybe not needed the ing. Take the s off. You got to take the s off, and it sounds better without the s.
Or take a out. But for me, it was something like the word was ending with a hard sound, right? Like it ended with like a K or something, and then the next letter was for the first word of the next bar line was an M or something. So it was like, it was hard. I had to put a lot of emphasis and energy to hit that hard consonant a certain way, and then try to come in with a not soft, but like a smooth. So like I had to change the energy, go from like a hard energy to a smooth energy, and make it sound like a seamless transition. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, you know, that kind of detail stuff. So, you know, what my revision process, like a lot of times, sometimes I'll hear some, I'll be like, well, I don't like this. And then I also do references on my phone. So if I get a verse, you know, a song, I'll write the verse. And then especially if I'm doing a project for somebody and they gave me a deposit, I'll do the reference so they know that I'm working and I'm not.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Money.
I'm on the same vibe with that too. I'll send
Right.
somebody like maybe a clip of the speaker with the verse and everything like that.
Right.
So
I'll do it like a shitty. You know, you couldn't bootleg it if you tried. I'll do it on like the fucking
right.
the notes app on the phone, so it sounds terrible and the beat is all tinny in the back.
Right.
And then
They
you know, or I'll do it on a video, right, which is a transfer of more energy to get people excited, right? So they actually see me reciting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And do the reference like a little video on my, you know, on the phone, on the photos.
So what's that like for you? What's the atmosphere? You're a nighttime writer, daytime writer, quiet, lights off, lights on, you know, quiet,
right.
you know.
I always have incense burning. I mean, in my house in general, I like smells, and I'm telling you about all the stuff I do. I'm a certified.
You know, Apani, for me,
yeah,
I love hearing it. But to be honest with you, it's people that they come and they watch and they be like, yo, I have incense burning. Like they find that commonality with you. Yeah, they want to hear this. This is dope.
I have a herbalist certification, and I work with a lot of essential. That's what I was gonna say. I do a lot of shit, right?
That's dope.
Right. So I make things, right? Oh, I thought I had one next to me. I make my most popular thing is an inhaler. But the thing that I make and I give to friends sometimes, but we use around the house, I make sprays. I call them soul spray because they have certain properties in the physical world in terms of like being antibacterial or antiviral or what have you, or, you know, anti-tumor and, you know, analgesic, whatever, you know, whatever you're making it for. And then when I first started getting into it and studying, you'd be like, what is this herb or oil good for? You'd get a spiritual thing as well, like some type of occult sort of usage for it. So I call it soul spray because it'll even disinfect your soul. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I like to have, I mix certain things here that I spray around my house, you know, to call certain energies, you know what I mean? Reflect certain energies. And I use certain kinds of incense as well for that.
Is it nighttime or daytime? Because I know I like quiet. Nobody at nighttime, so I'm like, it's quiet, you know.
It's very pseudo quiet right now in my house because I told my children I'm going to be talking to you right now, but my house is full of energy all the time, and I don't necessarily mind that. It's a part of the fabric of who I am and what my life is now. So like my process now is not like what it was. You know, that's what I was saying, you know, I had to kind of like break away because your children need you. And as the mommy, your job, you know, they need you on a level that's even different. No disrespect to all my friends who are amazing dads and, you know, all the amazing dads who helped raise me. Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, just biologically, mommy is different.
Mommy is the heart. I'm sorry, I keep it 100.
Yeah, I mean, mommy helps daddy too, but I'm just saying in terms of the children and your connection to the children.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's different. It's like it's
different,
biological till whenever. You know what I'm saying?
Different.
When I had my son, it was like he was born in May, and I went to Japan. I had been pregnant. This is when I knew like this was the catalyst for everything. I didn't know anything about being a mom. You know, like I said, I was basically a tomboy. I was hanging out with dudes all the time. You know, I was not even really in my feminine energy that much, you know, except for when I'd be with my dude. And I never used to mess with rap dudes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it would just be a whole different energy. But, you know, like people outside the business, right? But I had my son in May, and, you know, everybody's like, all right, when are you going to be back to work? And I was like, as soon as I drop this baby. You know what I mean? And I went to Japan. It was like the farthest place that I could go for 2 weeks, 2 months after I had my kid. And it was like the worst fucking thing. So after that, I haven't been out of the country since. And that was like 2010. You know what I mean?
You just kind of being a parent, because I'll have people or friends that'll be like, you know, I don't know, having a kid on, you know, timing it. They try to, everybody, you know, they want to put a certain time when they should have a kid, this and that. And I just tell them, I'm
most
like, yo.
Most of us are mommy and daddy's little mistake, and it's fine.
What'd you say?
I said, most of us are mommy and daddy's little mistake, and it's fine. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? Our parents adjusted. You'll adjust whatever you got. So
this is the way, right?
Yeah, so I'm sure like dealing with it, like you may have used to write this time, and when my kids were younger, it was me too. I'm finding whenever I can, you don't really have the opportunity
Right.
to choose as much, but that's my preference. Is kind of a nighttime, but
I'm a
us being,
nighttime person.
yeah,
You know, I don't. I'm up all day, but I don't like, and I get up early. You know,
okay,
like I could party all night and still go to work. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And break 20. I'm like, we're old now, and I still do shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
so
So I'm pretty resilient. I'm a night person for the most part. I come more alive. My spirit resonates with the nighttime a little bit more. But I
yeah,
do enjoy like the early morning. It depends on the environment as well. Like if I was like in the country or something, or I was in nature, I would love to sit like, in the woods or under a tree or something like that. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And, no shoes on or something, and, a big jug of water and just some fruit, and just sit out there for as long as possible. Fall asleep, wake up, write some more bars. You know what I'm saying? Just under the tree. I could be out doing that all day. You know what I mean? So it depends on the environment, but probably, nighttime, just because I'm busy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Sometimes I write during the day. I mean, I guess anytime that I'm feeling it. I also write a lot on the train.
And
You have that energy.
when you're on the train or wherever are you writing to the beat, or you just writing rhymes, to have prepared? So which way are you doing it? You bringing the rhymes and then trying to fit them?
A little bit of all of that. Like if I have things going on, which I have a lot of right now, like I listen to my beats. I commute with my headphones all the time. I don't know if
Okay.
you see, but if you look at my IG, like all my pictures, I'm wearing headphones. I'm in the party and all the time I'm dressed up, and I still got my headphones on. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
in heels and in a tight ass dress with headphones on, right? I'm always, tuning my frequencies. I have to do that sometimes, like to keep my energy, to where I like to have it. So I'm always tuning my frequencies by listening to, good music. So I listen to my beats a lot of times. Like sometimes I'll be listening to other music and I'll feel so good and the energy will be up, and I'm like, oh, it's a great time for me to turn on my things.
Right.
Turn on my instrumentals. You feel sort of up, and get some vibes and write some bars. Sometimes when I leave my salon, I do a decompression walk to the Long Island Railroad, and I always have my headphones on, and I sing when I walk, like loud, top of my lungs, by myself in the street. You know what I mean? So when I do that, it makes me, sometimes I think about, bars. I'm thinking about ways to use my voice. So it's, part of my creative process.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I'll listen to my beats. Sometimes I'll be listening to something else, and it won't be for a song that I'm working on. I'll get an idea for a song,
And then
and
when
I
you
write a whole bunch of stuff for that, and then I have to find a beat, or maybe I'll take it apart later and I'll use bits of it for something else. But it depends.
So what's that process like? Like you sitting there like listening to beats and you're like, nah, this one isn't it. This one is fire. How do you pick your beats?
Well, Pharaoh told me one time, he told me to pick beats where I could hear God in it.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, facts. Right? So I know that if I feel like, some type of connection to the energy right away, I try to pick beats. I don't know. I don't know if I'm trying to, it's something I like to do, but I like to pick music that sounds good all the time. Like it doesn't sound like it's from an era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can hear it like 10 years from now and it still sounds fresh, or the flip side to that is it gives you some type of nostalgic feeling, like you feel connected, like maybe like it's a new song, but it feels like you heard it before.
Right.
Music like that you want to listen to all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
it feels like you've already been listening to it. Like
and that goes into my next question, is the fact that storytelling,
Right.
you're able to craft these stories when you're writing. When you're appearing on most songs that I've heard, it deals with you telling your perspective and storytelling.
Right, there's a narrative, right?
Yeah, there's a narrative, and you're great at painting the picture of this narrative. And like I said, the personality I think that you choose and tonality with it makes the verse so fire and makes people go, you know, they'll hear the artist that's on the record, but then they hear you come on and be like, yeah, that was a great addition to the record. Like she needed to be on that record. So what's that about for you? Like
concept, yeah.
Storytelling. How do you go about it? How important is it to you?
I think because my focus is on being a songwriter and not just a rapper, like rapping good. You don't have to, you can rap and be saying nothing. You know what I mean? And it's great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, and a lot of rap is that. It's just like braggadocious, I'm this, I'm that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, cool story, bro. Right. But making songs, right? Like I said, getting back to a word that I feel is very important, which is professional, right? To be a professional, where somebody, you can get to the point where you're going to be a pen for hire and people hire you to do these projects, you know, like I'm not famous in America, but I've got some very famous projects in other parts of the world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's because, like I said, I've been away for a long time. Came back and people were like, yeah, we want to pay you to do this. We want you to do this now that you're back, whatever. It's been over a decade. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's because.
Let me just say something though.
Yeah.
I think what's underestimated is like automatically whatever you're going to rhyme, your voice is always going to make it sound. You have the dope voice. So like, it don't matter what year they come get you, what time. Everybody knows, like, yo, that voice on it is gonna sound fire. But yeah,
I get a lot of compliments on my voice, so I've had to learn how to use it. Like I said, as a female, I think being a female rapper was great, but the female voice thing and not trying to sound squeaky was always like, okay, I got to make sure that, like I said, I do try to work more like a singer, where I'm coming from, you know, the diaphragm. You know what I mean? Like I'm bringing my voice from a deeper place. You know what I'm saying? And also, like I said, trying to figure out what's the attitude, what's the tone, who am I talking to, who's the audience, who I want to listen to what I'm saying. How do I grab people's ear? Like I said, you know, just using certain words or certain things that you say, you know, are going to be like a flag to people.
So that sounds like your technique with the storytelling.
Yes,
like
it's definitely my technique to use my voice in conjunction. Like I'm a one-woman band. Right. Yeah. So the composition and what I'm writing is one thing. The cadence and the pattern of the delivery, how I'm going to bounce on the beat, is another thing.
Yeah.
But then what is the energy and the personality that I'm going to bring to it? How I'm going to say a word? Am I going to lay back here? Am I going to, you know, be like an A, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The word that I think that I hadn't thought of until now is
grimy,
character. You're able to bring a character, because that's the word I'm thinking. Like I'm hearing all this, I'm like, what's the word I'm talking about? Because when people are asking you to get on these songs and so on and so forth, they're looking for a person that can play a character, almost basically a musical. So when you come on, that's what's so dope about you getting on records with people, because you're able to provide the character that people are looking for. With everything that you're able to provide.
That's exactly the point. Like I said, just being a professional and, you know, being a professional songwriter, that's what you have to do. You know, you have to bring a different energy. Nobody's hiring you. They hired you, because they heard a great performance on another record, but they don't want you to make that record for them. Yeah. They want you to you know, give their project a different energy. Sometimes, you know, if you're a character, you know, if you're Samuel Jackson and people just want you to play Samuel Jackson in every movie, that's different.
Yeah.
You know, but I think I've also done so many different things that, like, who the hell is Apani, right? Yeah. Apani is all these personalities, and I think that people get that, and that's what they want. They want me to come and bring some diversity as a different voice, but they also want me to bring that delivery. They want me to bring that energy, because that's another thing too, like just not being boring.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the energy has to hit. And I think sometimes too, that's the thing like I said, they think women we can't carry a record, we can't bring that energy, can't rhyme on beat, you know.
So,
Different
so
issues that females, you know, I see personally sometimes with, I think that's one of the main things that I would say is a criticism for a lot of female artists. Some of them really, if you analyze the writing is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? And it has a lot of personality and individuality in it, but they don't necessarily know how to use their voice properly or breathe properly, you know, control any like lisping and accents and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
So
like,
where do you record at now? Do you record at home? You have a studio set up?
I always have a studio set up, and traditionally I've always done that. I've been recording outside as of late, but I'm about to set the studio up in the house. I forgot why I needed to have it. Like, I just was like, I'm just coming back. I got so much on my plate. I just don't want to press the buttons too. Like, I'm already doing everything. I don't want to also press the buttons.
I feel you.
Right. So I was going to other places, but again, you know, like I've got good deals. So like I'm not paying what, you know, others pay. And people know that if they do work with me, that it's going to come out. There's going to be
it's worth the time. You know, time is the luxury that we all have. That's the major luxury we have.
Right.
And nobody wants to, you know, more people are realizing like time is their luxury. So if they're going to work with somebody, like I know if I'm going to work with Apani coming in this time of the day or whatever, like she's going to come by, I know it's going to be worth my time. And that's where everybody, you know, time is today's currency, because you know, podcasts, it takes somebody time to watch it. Album drop takes somebody time. You know, people are looking online constantly. Time is the currency.
People want to participate in fruitful things. So that's why I said, like, you know, you have to be whatever it is that you're trying to attract, right? And it's like I said, if I know that I'm not going into the studio just to put a record on. I don't even like, I know people tell you now, oh, you got to do that. You got to promote, like everybody's following trends. I'm at a point right now. I'm not, like I said, I don't really do a lot of interviews. I don't do like the video freestyle thing. I'm not interested in going, like I did the radio show circuit when I was 5 years old, going everywhere and doing that. And that doesn't, like, I'm a grown up and I got big bills and I like nice shit. I need, okay?
Yeah.
And going to do all of that shit doesn't necessarily, like, unless you're controlling the content and all these things are only coming, which is what I'm also doing now, like trying to build my own platform. But unless you're controlling the content and the source and you have the ownership over the master of that, you know, it doesn't really make any sense because they don't sell records. And you might get the exposure, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get followers. You need people who are willing to invest in you, right? Like, I worked all week for this paycheck and I'm going to spend it on some Apani shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like I said, you know, you have to just be great for that. So I'm like, you know, if I do get opportunity to work with people, a lot of times they know there's going to be a professional credit. You know what I mean? It's going to come out somewhere, you know?
Well, Apani, I really appreciate having you on here. I mean, we've known each other for years. I don't even know if we got a record together. So I got to fix one. I got to work on that.
I got something for you. I'm working on a project right now. Sorry, all these, like, I'm on my phone, so these notifications keep popping up. I'm working on, I don't know how much information I should give about what I'm working on because they're not ready to drop yet. But I got a ton of
if anything, you can always like
tell
me later, and then I can add it in. Or if
I'll give you more information, but I'll say this. I'm working on a project that's all collabs. Right. And I'm famous for doing a lot of collabs. Right. Yeah. But I'm trying to, there'll be a book and a documentary with it.
Dope.
Right. So it's sort of going to serve as, I'll be doing it in like volumes. So there'll be like a volume 2, whatever, etc. to infinity for as long as I can do it. As long as it makes sense. But I'd like to include you on the first one. The first one's going to be important because it's going to serve as the origin story, how I got into this culture. Like I said, with the book and the movie, like each of those things are going to kind of add a layer to that. Yeah. It'll be kind of sort of telling my story through my relationships with, like you said, all the dope friends that we've collected over the years, right? You know, so I'll be doing that, you know, with, like I said, these collabs, you know, doing little interviews, like, you know, having studio sessions, inviting people through and like kind of just filming that, like just, you know, organic stuff. So I'd like you to be a part of that.
I'm down, you know it. So tell everybody your social media, where to contact you and everything.
Yeah, we got all it. Well, I see you online all the time, but we got each other's stuff, so I'll let you know. But I will plug my Jazz Spastics album. That's the project that's my priority right now. That and Shabam and I are working on an album, so those are my two priority projects right
What's
now.
your Instagram?
Oh, Apani Classic, APANICLASSIC, all one word.
Dope. Well, everybody, thank you again, Apani. Make sure you go check out all the stuff she's done and all the stuff she got coming up. And before we leave, I always like to ask you, what are your words worth? Peace.
Peace.
Sign up now at elevate.miami.edu for my course, Organized Rhyme. Looking at the word legacy, while involving some wordplay, I'll use the first syllable to build upon. We'll use the first syllable, leg. For the second syllable, we'll use an. And for the third syllable, we'll use the word knee. So now we have leg and knee. Can we use it in context with legacy? Let's just see. Wordsworth Productions with a S.com for all merch. I got 2 books available right now. Words Are Worth Volume 1, and I also have a children's book called Socks. Age range from 12 to 15, so it's kind of like the middle school and high school age range, but adults can read it as well. Shout out to our sponsor, the Wizker. If you're into skincare, the Wizker will help prevent razor bumps and make sure you got smooth skin all around. Make sure you order it on Amazon, the Wizker. Make sure you check out Wordsworthproductions.com. There you can book me if you want to book me for shows, consultations, panels, and things of that nature. And also it'll give all the upcoming shows that I'll be attending or performing at or appearing at as well. Wordsworthproductions.com. We write plays, books, movies, anything that deals with writing and creativity. Contact us.